Spyder's back.
What are you chanting loud? We want Spyders, CFL's red zone.
Hit it!
Spyder, Spyder, here comes Spyder, CFL's red zone. Roar.
Behind you, hit it!
Spyder, Spyder, here comes Spyder, CFL's red zone.
Hit it!
In the red zone.
Boom, boom. Bing! Crash in the lake. Just having fun here on Boxing Day. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Hey, how you doing? It's, Spyder, Spyder, here comes Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule on Boxing Day. The spotlight on Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule. That's what we got here. Yes, sir. Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule. Yeah. We'll soar and roar. And put a spotlight on our third down. And we'll soar and roar through full CFL stadiums in 2022 if the CFL wisely adopts my Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule that's being presented to the CFL Innovation Rules Committee in 2022 now. So let's hope you guys see this video and get the word out there. And by the way, if it's wisely adopted, which it should be because it's proven its case in 2021, like Mr. Vanstone said, uncannily proved this case and proves why it should be adopted to make our CFL 3-down game a lot better, a lot more entertaining, a lot more exciting brand of CFL 3-down football to watch. And I can guarantee you it will captivate and gravitate all the younger generation sports fans in Canada. That's the mass market, and that's the market that the CFL needs that they don't have. They desperately need if they're going to grow their fan base and survive and grow their 3-down game of CFL 3-down game of football, and they need my Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule to do that. That's the number one priority, and I'm going to go over some other things that the CFL has to do. It's like Steve Arms says, they got to realize they're selling entertainment and the excitement, or you can reverse that, excitement and entertainment, whatever way you want to put it. And Mr. Armitage, the legend, the sports legend, who's done 27 Grey Cups, said that's exactly what my Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule will do if my CFL Red Zone Rule is wisely adopted by the CFL. And it's proven its case, the CFL, Mr. Randy Ambrosi, and the CFL owners. And I'm going to get this out there after this, my last session. I'm going to tear it down unless something special comes up on my CFL Red Zone Rule, and I'm going to go back on. But you can find my presentation that's going to be presented to the CFL Innovation Rules Committee in 2022 when they have their March meetings. Hopefully they do. What we're going through right now with another lockdown. But this can't go on forever, folks. And then if there's some news I can report, I'll be back on before the spring, early spring. Anyway, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And this is Boxing Day in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And this is Spyder, the Spider-Man. That's what they used to call me. That's how I got my name, with my last name being Spydell. So here's Spyder's back with another session here. And this is my final session, and this will be my final session until something pops up important on my CFL Red Zone Rule. I'll be back on. If not, I'll be back on in the spring. But I'll probably be back on before that because some news will come up in my CFL Red Zone Rule. So hopefully some very important news, okay? And it, like Mr. Vanstone said, it's proven its case more than ever before with all the 10 and 12 and 15-yard field goals and too many CFL games this year in 2021 for too many points a game, for in field goals, and too many, which is magnified in the red zone with too many of them. Non-eventful, easy chip shot field goals, okay? Predictable, non-eventful, distasteful, easy chip shot field goals. For too many points in the CFL, way too many points in field goals, and way too many non-eventful, easy chip shot field goals in the red zone. That's why I need my Spyder CFL red zone rule. Can you imagine how much better 2022 would be, and how much better 2021 would it be? And in the Grey Cup, Hamilton probably would have won the Grey Cup, my CFL red zone rule being part of our CFL 3-down game, because they kicked like a 10, I think a 12, and a 15-yard field goal. Imagine the red zone, where they should have been playing with my CFL red zone rule. Exciting CFL 3-down football. If the third down's needed, to score a touchdown. And if they would have maintained possession of the ball, not pushed outside the red zone on third down, they still would have got my Spyder CFL red zone rule kick from the 35-yard line. Okay, they would have got rewarded because they're playing with my CFL red zone rule enforcement rule in the red zone. If third down's needed to score a touchdown. That's it in a nutshell. You can find all this information and more on my Facebook page, Spyder CFL red zone rule Facebook page. And by the way, my presentation that's being made to the CFL Innovation Rules Committee in 2022 is, I put it up my Facebook, my Spyder CFL red zone rule Facebook page. That's a mouthful, isn't it? On my megaphone, that I was going to take the touchdown Atlantic with 500 or more brochures to give up, but I'm hearing that could happen this year, July 16th, I think. The Riders and the Argos again. That's what I'm hearing. Well, Rob Black reported that he talked to Mr. Ambrosi about the Atlantic Schooners, and he thinks it's still on. So let's see. I may have some news to report to you on that. So I may come back on early, but mainly I'll come back on with some really good news in my CFL Red Zone rule. All right, going off the megaphone. Okay, take care. That scared you? I was on for 6 minutes. God, it seemed longer. Oh my God, I had a real problem finding a gizmo that I needed for the mount on my tripod. And I got old technology, by the way, still got the old camera. And because it has a remote control, and it's so handy. And it's only like, I think 480 or something. That's 4080. That's it. It's not high def or anything, not even close. You know, it'd be nice if it was even 500, right? But, you know, it's almost like cable. I get netting on my face. I don't know why that is, but I think it's because of low light. It breaks up the pixelization, and you know, and less pixels and so forth. So, anyway, Spyder's back, and you know, and it's so true. The CFL, they need my CFL Red Zone rule, and it's proven itself. Like Mr. Vanstone said, it's uncannily proved itself this year in the 2021 season, and in the CFL playoffs. I mean, the season itself, the CFL playoffs, and the Grey Cup. It was there, like staring the CFL again every single game, including the CFL playoffs of 2021 and in the Grey Cup in Hamilton, staring the CFL right in the eye, just waiting to be adopted. It's like Mr. Vanstone, I keep repeating it, but it's so important, it's so crucial what he said. It's proven itself more than ever before. It's made its case. And by the way, when I made my first presentation to the CFL in 2018, that was over the radio, 1 hour formal presentation. I have it actually right here. This was the agenda right here. They told me that they would revisit it, okay, if the scoring trended downward, and you know, and too many field goals, easy chip shot field goals in the red zone, and so forth, which it has, you know, considerably in 2021. And by the way, the average percentage of touchdowns also have dropped from the 2018-2017 by 4 points. Because that's when in my presentation, I come up with the 18% guarantee of more touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams at that average of 54.8, but it dropped to 51, so it's almost like 50%. And some teams are below 40%, so that's not good. That's not good. And by the way, the only way that it could possibly go to an 18% increase is with my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule. They could never get close to that number at all, which has taken it from 54.8% to a 65% percentage of more touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams for a total of 50 more touchdowns, equaling 200 more points. It's all in my presentation, which is you know, the best presentation I ever did, and it's up on my Facebook page, the one they're being presented, and I also headline that, the one it's being presented to the CFL Innovation Rules Committee, and now in 2022. Okay, that's also a mouthful. So anyway, got the little you know, snowman sleigh here, Santa Claus, you know, up here. I should have lit that. By the way, see this here? The CFL, Randy and Brosie, the CFL owners. Spyder gave you a gift. And I did another letter up, my two most important letters ever, the one to Mr. Vanstone and another one that I'm sending out next week to very, very important people. Okay? And you probably know who they are. And Santa, the CFL, Mr. Ambrosi, the CFL owners, the GMs, the coaches, I have given you a gift, my CFL Red Zone rule. And by the way, it will remarkably still preserve a 3-down game in football. That's what's so phenomenal about it. And now where they're talking, can you imagine talking about going to 4 downs? It's because there's NFL influence, because of Genius Sports, you know, involvement. And the NFL owns 5% of them, so they have a 1.5 now equity, like percentage, they own the CFL, 1.5%. It's unbelievable. So yeah, they want them to go to 4 down to be and to be a really official farm league, feeder league for the NFL. And if the XFL would emerge, they'd want them to go to 4 down too. I think that's why they're. And then the Toronto Argonauts, the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment Group, they want them. They want to join the XFL. They want to go to 4 down. So listen, my CFL Red Zone rule is a savior right here. My 3rd down of my CFL Red Zone rule is made part of a CFL 3-down game, and this is what, see, you know, Santa's bringing to you the CFL owners, the commissioner. My 3rd down, my CFL Red Zone rule would be more of a powerful down than the NFL 4th down. And by the way, NFL 4 downs in the red zone, it's too many downs, it's too easy to score a touchdown with a little 10-yard end zone. By the way, 3 downs is the perfect number of downs, okay, to score a touchdown if needed in the red zone. And that's where my CFL Red Zone rule comes in, because most of the time, and that's why the CFL needs my CFL Red Zone rule, they're playing with 2-down football like they did during the CFL 2021 season and the CFL playoffs and the 108th Grey Cup in Hamilton in the red zone. You know, come on. People don't want to see this anymore, the CFL. They don't want to see easy, non-eventful, predictable, unappealing, more boring, easy chip shot field goals, 10 and 12, 15-yard field goals, just like Mr. Vanstone said. You know, they don't want to see it anymore. They want my CFL Red Zone rule, you know, and then they'd be playing excited 3-down football if the 3rd down's needed in the red zone to score a touchdown, like they would have been all year in the 2021 CFL season, in the CFL playoffs, and in the 8th Grey Cup in Hamilton, which would have been way better season, way better playoffs, and way better Grey Cup, 108th Grey Cup in Hamilton with my CFL Red Zone rule. And you can take that to the bank. There's no doubt about it. You think what would be more exciting? My CFL Red Zone rule, okay, made part of a CFL 3-down game of football. That's an enforcement rule, by the way. Okay, so they have to play exciting 3-down football if the 3rd down's needed, or more 12, 10, 15-yard, non-eventful, easy chip shot field goals that are monotonous and repetitive and boring and so predictable. CFL fans in the 3-down game of football, they don't want to see any more of this. Well, they won't be seeing any more of the CFL wisely dots my CFL Red Zone rule. Look what I'm giving to you, a big Santa gift here at the CFL. You need my CFL Red Zone rule. And I can guarantee you something I'm going to point out. Genius Sports and betting is not going to bail out the CFL. It's not going to bail out the CFL because you're going to be overwhelmed by the NFL. That's where there's 36, there's what is it, 32, 34 teams in the NFL, 9 in the CFL. That may help, but it's not going to fill stadiums. But my CFL Red Zone will fill stadiums. Guaranteed. And what's so phenomenal again and about my CFL Red Zone is the NFL can't steal it because it will not work with 4-down football. Unequivocally will not work with 4-down football. But it'll work perfectly like it's meant for and like it's naturally tailor-made for CFL 3-down football. And it will put a real emphasis on our 3rd down. And it'll make our 3rd down way more powerful and way more like exciting down and way more entertaining down than the NFL 4th down in the red zone. Way more. And it would create way more drama. And it's so much more innovative. And it's the perfect number of downs. Okay, that to be played with in the professional game of football in the red zone. My CFL Red Zone rule delivers that on a platter. Santa brings it to them on a platter. Here it is. There it is, and it still remarkably preserves our CFL 3-down game of football and protects our 100, or will be the 109th Grey Cup in Saskatchewan this year. Imagine, over 100 years, the great, the CFL and our traditional prestigious Grey Cup over 108 years now. Come on, our 3-down game of football, CFL 3-down game of football over 100 years. Come on. My CFL Red Zone rule is a savior. It's a savior for a 3-down game. It needs to be implemented. It needs to be adopted by the CFL, and it will be the biggest and most innovative, okay, and the most entertaining and the most dramatic rule ever in the history of the CFL. That's full of drama and the most exciting CFL rule ever adopted, and the most powerful and the most impactful and the most significant new CFL rule ever adopted by the CFL in the history of the CFL, and by the way, in all of professional football. And you can take that to the bank, and that's a fact. It'll be huge. It would be a blockbuster. It'll be a blockbuster. The Spyder CFL Red Zone rule, and I'll give it to them free. It'll be the CFL Red Zone rule will soar and roar through full CFL stadiums throughout the CFL, and will captivate, fascinate, and gravitate all the younger generation sports fans in Canada to watch CFL 3-down football, because they want to see exciting CFL 3-down football played in the red zone with Spyder CFL Red Zone rule. It will be a fad. It will be so cool. It'll be so much excitement and so much drama at a game live in the red zone. You paint the 20-yard white line on both sides red, and the 20 on each side painted the white outline in red, and in both end zones, and the graphics. Can you imagine the TSN Spyder cam coming down the Spyder CFL Red Zone rule, okay, with that Spyder CFL Red Zone rule field diagram, okay? And it would just be called the CFL Red Zone rule field die. Can you imagine? And they could put a logo in front of that too, jazz it up. And my CFL Red Zone rule kick too at the 35. The graphics they could use. And you imagine with a CFL video game, how more exciting it would be, our 3-down game of professional CFL football with my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule, which would be then called the CFL Red Zone rule. The graphics, how much more exciting it would be playing with the CFL Red Zone rule being made part of a CFL 3-down game, playing a new CFL video game. You imagine how much exciting that would be? That would sell a lot more. They could advertise it, featuring Spyder's new CFL Red Zone rule, the new CFL Red Zone rule. And by the way, can you imagine having a logo like Roar and SOAR? How big that would be? It's a mighty, explosive slogan. And it will make CFL 3-down football, our game, rumble and soar and roar through all CFL stadiums across Canada and all the major CFL markets too. It will like season ticket sales will surge, and regular single day ticket sales will surge. They'll sell out CFL stadiums. Listen, you can take that to the bank, guaranteed. That's how big it would be. And like I said, it would be gigantic. It would be the biggest rule like the CFL ever adopted, and probably the biggest rule ever adopted in all of professional football, and the most exciting, most entertaining rule ever adopted in the professional game of football, because it does it all. It does it all. And check out my 10 key super features and benefits. You want to see what it does on my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule Facebook page. They're compelling. They're compelling, and all the justifiable advantages and why it should be adopted. And also from the business side, not only from the entertaining value side, but from the business side as well. Okay, the business opportunities that will create in CFL Red Zone rule merchandising of hats, t-shirts, sweaters. Hey, cups. There's Spyder's CFL Red Zone rule cups, because they can sell coffee cups with the new CFL Red Zone rule, and then CFL Red Zone rule coffee cups as well. It's unbelievable, my friend. what it could do. We have a bit of blackout here because of the lighting, and I'm still doing the last session because I want to tear it down, but I'm really excited about, you know, like, it's so true, what I'm saying. It's so true. I mean, it's like, it's fact. It's fact. You know, the writing, it's there. Like Mr. Vanstone said, it's proven its case. It's uncanny. Keep using that word. But it's so true. It's proven its case, and the CFL's bowed to that. They said, well, if scoring trends downward, and that's what I'm going to get out next week to, you know, the most important people in the CFL, they're going to receive a nice letter from Santa, okay, from Santa Claus, okay, a nice letter and a nice big gift from Santa Claus that's going to save our professional three-down game of CFL football from being taken over by the NFL, the XFL, and American four-down football, because my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule will be a bigger rule and a bigger down than the NFL fourth down, and my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule will put a real signature on our third down and a real signature on our CFL three-down game of football, and you can take that to the bank, for sure. I just want to talk also about one-year contracts and how at this end of the NFL window, and that's back in place, and it's unbelievable. Like, you know, Ottawa signs, you know, like big American, you know, returner for a contract. He said he wants to be in Ottawa, Devin, and then he goes down because of the window. He's down trying to get in the NFL game. Come on, you guys, the CFL. Come on, CFL owners, you got to lock out the Canadian Players Association. You really do, because their teams are signing all kinds of Canadian players again just to fill the ratio. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to change the Canadian ratio. Like, I wish the CFL owners would just say, listen, enough of this. We're locking them out. They got no dues. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? Lock them out. Get the ratio changed, either demolished or reduced way down to 3. Okay, and maybe 10 Canadian players on a roster, but they have to make the roster or put them in a practice roster. But there shouldn't even be any guaranteed, because of a passport, starting spots in the CFL. They have to make the teams, the Canadian players, like the American players. If you want to be a player, the CFL, and compete with the NFL, the NHL hockey, because this is who you're competing with, and you know, they're so competitive. The professional sports leagues are so competitive. You're competing with all of them, the NBA, Major League Baseball, and yes, even MLS soccer. None of them have a ridiculous ratio, okay, a starting ratio, and half the roster is to be Canadian. If they did, they'd be all out of business. You know, like what's unbelievable is, you think the Leafs or the Blue Jays or the Raptors would have this ridiculous Canadian ratio, or be run by the Canadian players and the Canadian Players Association? To dictate them who starts and plays in their leagues, in their professional leagues. So, you know, you're a professional league, the CFL. You want to be a player, you got to get rid of the Canadian ratio. And if they don't agree, you got to abolish the Canadian Players Association completely. Okay? And I'm sure many American players that are actually more geared to our game will be coming up here to want to play. And you got to get rid of the one-year contracts. There's no continuity. Fans can't relate to their team because there's no team that changes every year. 55, yesterday I heard, like, or Saskatchewan or something, that 55 free agents, not 35, 45, 55, practically the whole team. You know, you can't really, like, why would you even support the team or go to a game? You can't buy a sweater. This is ridiculous, because the Canadian players, the Canadian Players Association, because they want the NFL window. You know, they want to. They just want to use the CFL. You know, then they say, oh, they reduce Canadian ratio change that no one would go to the games. No, there's nobody in stands now because of the Canadian ratio, and because of one-year contracts, okay? And because the CFL has to bring in a rule that's going to make our CFL three-down game a lot more exciting, a lot more entertaining, okay? And full of drama, like my CFL Red Zone rule will do. It'll be the biggest rule they've ever adopted. They need to bring it in. They need to make it part of our CFL three-down game for 2022. It proved itself. Like Mr. Vanstone, it's made its case. It's proved itself. Okay, so I got a few minutes left, and I just want to talk to you a little bit and just thank you for watching my videos. Please go to my CFL Red Zone Roll Facebook page, and who knows, it may be Touchdown Atlantic. I may be with my megaphone and my brochures this year and my big banner, and you know, and hopefully, you know what, wouldn't it be something by that time my CFL Red Zone Roll will be made part of a CFL 3-down game? You imagine Touchdown Atlantic playing, you know, you imagine how big it would be my CFL Red Zone Roll. Imagine how big the CFL would be with my CFL Red Zone Roll. Can you imagine? But it would be a blockbuster, like I'm saying. It would be like, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. And it will save our game from going to 4 downs. It'll never go to 4 downs if my CFL Red Zone Roll is adopted, because it's a winner. It's a winner. And what it'll do for a CFL 3-down game, football, would be, it would just take it to a whole new level. And you know, it would really attract the younger generation sports fans, and that's the mass market. And they would want to go to CFL games because of my CFL Red Zone Roll, and flocks of them in big numbers, and fill CFL stadiums, all CFL stadiums and all CFL markets. So you don't need 4-down football, you need Spyder's CFL Red Zone Roll. Listen, I want to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you. And thank you. Hit subscribe. I always forget to say that. But thank you for watching all my videos. I'm sorry I did too many in a series. I just got on a roll because my set was up. I said I may do a few more, and then everything that's happening out there, you know. So I just want to say thank you for every single view that I've had. And you know, and I'm sorry I put up too many videos. And by the way, it's all like all live takes. There's no remakes. So, you know, I make mistakes. It's all coming off my tongue. I'm not even looking at notes today. So anyway, take care of yourself. All the best to you. Spyder, 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 Spyder. Here comes Spyders. CFL Red Zone Roll. It will be the biggest roll that the CFL ever adopted, and it needs to be adopted for the 2022 CFL.